which carries it from the epididymis, which, like the testes, lie in the scrotum outside the body cavity. And this tube then brings it up into the body cavity, around the side of the urinary bladder, comes down behind the urinary bladder, and penetrates the prostate and couples with the prostatic urethra. Of course, there's one associated with each testis. And here's the structure right here. This is the actual tube that carries the sperm. So what's it called? It's called the ductus deferens, or vas deferens. It is not the spermatic cord. A lot of slides that you're looking at are labeled spermatic cord, and as usual, the label's usually exposed, so if I ask for this, don't say spermatic cord, okay? It's ductus deferens or vas deferens. This is only one of several components that we see in the spermatic cord. You've also got blood vessels there. You can see it on here. You've got nerve fibers as well, not a connective tissue. Nerve fibers over here, these are blood vessels, not a connective tissue. The prominent feature here is the ductus deferens or vas deferens. That's a tube that physically carries the sperm. Okay? If you look at the models, you see the spermatic cord has a lot of stuff in it, including blood vessels called the pampiniform plexus. I didn't put that on there, but what it actually does is it cools the blood. The veins, which are draining blood from the scrotum, which is cooler temperature than the body temperature, wrap around the arteries coming in, bringing in core blood, which is much warmer, and acts like a radiator. It cools the blood. Because you want to keep that temperature below normal body temperature for proper sperm development. And that's all in the ductus deferens. Okay? And again, the lining of the ductus deferens is the same as what we saw in the epididymis tubes. What's the epithelium again? What do we call it? Pseudostratified columnar. Again, not ciliated. The sperm we don't really see much here, but it would be here in the lumen. And then here, again, is a layer of lamina propria, like we saw in the tubes of the ductus of the epididymis. And then again, the same three smooth muscle layers and same arrangement. See them here. Okay. There's your epithelium again, pseudostratified columnar. There's the lamina propria, thin layer, and here are your three muscle layers. This is longitudinal, this is circular, and longitudinal again. You can actually see it better under the microscope. Okay, so same arrangement. And again, it's the contraction of those muscle layers that move the sperm. Sperm are still passive, they're not swimming. Okay, they usually don't start inactivated swimming until ejaculation. Then they got to move. So they're sort of saving their energy, if you will. So they're being passive moved along by muscle contraction in the tubes in the male reproductive tract. Okay. Okay, this is a section through the male penis, obviously, and you see mature, so it's not completely developed. But there are several features I'd like you to be able to recognize on this. Focus. All right, on the very outside, the epithelium that covers the penis is the same epithelium, type of epithelium that lines the vagina. What is it? This layer right here. It's a non-keratinized stratified squamous. We've seen that in other parts of the body where you need a thick protective layer to protect the tissues beneath. You saw it, for example, in the oral cavity. You saw the oral pharynx, the laryngopharynx, and the esophagus. You also saw it in the anal canal, where you got a lot of stuff rubbing against the walls. Same thing here. see it's multiple layers of flattened cell underneath there. Most of the mass of the penis is what? What kind of tissue? A rectal tissue, which means it's full of little cavities or sinuses through which the blood flows. During sexual excitement, these cavities get filled with blood and the blood becomes trapped in those cavities. That's what brings about the erection in the male, and in most mammals for that matter. Some mammals actually have a little bone, not in humans, not in primates. And we got 3 columns of rectal tissue, which you should be able to identify, both on the slides and on the models. This is the urethra, which, as you know, runs through the penis, and it's called the penile or sponge urethra. And the sponge urethra, because this rectal tissue which surrounds it, is called what? What's the rectal tissue around the urethra?
Corpus spongiosum.
The corpus spongiosum. Corpus is Latin for body. Spongiosum because it looks like a sponge. It's full of little cavities. Okay? That expands distally into the distal end of the penis, which is called what? What's the distal end of the penis?
Glans.
The glans penis. You can see that nicely on the models. Okay? So this is the urethra. And you can see all around it is this erectile tissue of the corpus spongiosum. What's the type of epithelium that lines the urethra? It's this purple stained stuff.
Transition.
What kind of epithelium is this?
Transition.
It's transitional. Transitional, remember, we've seen in the urinary bladder, we see in areas where there's a lot of pressure on the walls, so as urine passes through, it kind of stretches the tissue, and that causes it to change shape, the cells, that is. They go from a stratified, what appears to be a stratified clunder, to basically what's like a stratified squamous. Okay? Eventually this becomes a stratified clunder, cuboidal, but we just call it transitional. Okay? That's the epithelium that lines the urethra. Surround the urethra, all this stuff, corpus spongiosum, one of the columns of rectal tissue. The other 2 lie dorsal to the urethra. They're not very well developed here because it's an immature penis, but you can see we're sort of like mirror images of one another. There's one right there. There's another one over here. In the shape of a bean. And what are these? What do they call? What do you call these columns of rectal tissue? The corpora cavernosa. Corpora cavernosa. And again, you can see these nicely on the models, so I can expect you to identify it on both slides and models. And of course, the penis develops, these get much larger. So 3 columns of rectal tissue. A pair of corpora cavernosa. Corpus cavernosum is the singular. Corpora cavernosa, plural, there are 2 of them. And then around the urethra, corpus spongiosum. Lining the urethra, transitional epithelium, covering the surface of the penis, non-keratinized stratified squamous.
On the test, would we see it like that, where you actually see the bean, or would it be zoomed in?
Yeah, I give it so you can actually
See it.
make it out. It would be a lower magnification. Okay. Any questions? Okay, let's look at the female. Reproductive tract, we're going to start with the ovary.